to prioritize, because balance does not exist, especially if you are a high achiever. And hello, Queen. Especially if you're a high achiever and you're an entrepreneur with really big vision, really big dreams, really big goals. Hey guys, if you are joining me for the first time, my name is Kenya Oliver. I'm an executive coach for high achievers, CEOs, and just people that want to do extraordinary things in the world. And my goal is to get you guys to perform at top levels no matter what life is throwing at you. So today we're really talking about how to prioritize, and it really just comes down to, what do you want right now? What do you want right now? But sometimes what you want, you're not clear about. So what I always suggest, and I have clients do, and what I do myself, is I just brain dump everything. Because typically what I want is, I want like 100 things right now. So I go through that list and I circle the ones that I think are going to be the most fun. And then I'll just take maybe like the 10 out of the 50 or out of 100. And then I'll look at those and then I'll say, like, what is going to be the easiest one for me to execute on? And then I'll take that list and I'll circle whatever it is and I'll bring it into a different category. And then I'll go back to say, what is the one that I feel like the least resistance with? And sometimes you're going to have resistance with it. But I always say, like, go to the easiest one and the one that seems like the most fun, because once you start to tackle something, it creates momentum. And when you have momentum, then you just get like this like dopamine rush where you want to achieve something else. Now you have to be careful with it, because you don't burn yourself out or go crazy. But if it is the most fun, then start there. However, here's another strategy. If this isn't the most fun, but if something is draining your energy the most because it's something you keep pushing to the side. So maybe there's a project that you keep pushing to the side, but you know it's really, really important to you, because you just know in your mind and in your heart that it's going to take you and your business to the next level. So right now, what I want you to do is I want you to write down that one thing that you might be thinking about that's weighing heavy in your heart, heavy in your mind, that's taking up a lot of space or taking a lot of your energy, because that's one way to reclaim your personal power. And sometimes it's just having a conversation with somebody. Sometimes it's asking for help. Sometimes it's letting something or someone go. That's hard stuff that weighs on us. Those are uncomfortable things. Sometimes it's literally just deep cleaning. Deep cleaning. And those are the things in our mind where we think like we're wasting our time and our energy, but really those are the things that give us back our time and our energy, because they're constantly like in our brains. And once we can close the door, the more things that have like open doors, what I've realized, especially is you guys, all of us are great starters, but are we great completers? So something that I've been doing, and Melissa's on here, and her and I had a conversation, is I'm in a season of actually pruning. I'm in a season of taking things off of my plate. I'm in a season of like just focusing on maybe on a few things at a time and completing them. Some passion projects are going to take me a year or 2 years or 3 years. And as long as they're in my schedule, where we call them our DMOs. And I had a conversation, actually have the post pulled up right now, where somebody was telling me, I'm picking what to prioritize is the toughest part for me, and what to be consistent with. And so my reply was, set deadlines. When you set deadlines, but sometimes deadlines can backfire. I'm going to tell you why in a second. So the big thing that I would suggest is set a deadline on something, so this way you don't keep kind of like, oh, well, it can get done when it can get done. Because the great thing about being an entrepreneur and a business owner is that you call the shots. The downfall is that you call the shots. So you can procrastinate on things at any point in time that you want to procrastinate on them. And you can also move forward with them whenever you decide to move forward with them. But if you set a deadline, and here's the trick to the deadlines, if you set a deadline and then you set a reward for achieving the deadline. So something I created are called these accountability calendars. And September 25th through the 29th, I'm hosting a free 5-day accountability challenge, because what I realized with our group, yes, you, me too, is that one thing I want to teach you guys, part of self-mastery, is just knowing thyself. Knowing yourself and being honest about it. And it doesn't mean that part has to run the show. So there's a 5-day accountability challenge where we set a goal, not 10 goals, a goal of what we want to achieve. We break it down and we execute on that. Yes. So the challenge is Facebook. We're going to have it in Facebook. Get your free calendar. I'm going to send out emails on it. So it's TanyColiver.com/calendar. You're going to get all these printable calendars where you're going to write out your daily methods of operation. You're going to really focus, and it's accountability. What I noticed with all of us is we're great at starting things. We've got great ideas, but it's that accountability, the support in the community. And Melissa knows because she runs a whole community here in Miami, Epic Talks. Shout out, amazing events. And it's the community, the support, that when you set something, that people hold you accountable. When you know that you say something out loud and people ask you about it, you're like, okay, it's time to execute. And I'll give you an example. In the gym, I have an accountability buddy. And so when she messages me, hey, I'm at the gym, where are you at? I'm like, oh, I'm on my way. But if I knew she wasn't going to be there, I might drag it out. So when you have somebody that's holding you to the standards you set for yourself, because here's the thing, we set standards for ourselves, but then we negotiate them when things get hard or when we get busy, right? So this is about setting high standards, no negotiation, and setting out your DMOs. Now, when I talk about this is when you're setting the accountability, which we have the Facebook group, and then it's called 5-day team. But when you get your calendars, I'm sending out emails of the free accountability challenge, September 25th through the 29th. And we have already 27 people in the Facebook group. But I'm going to send out the email when you guys get the calendar. The calendar is in the link in the bio. And the trick to the accountability is you set a reward. You can leverage off of motivation, and you can't buy yourself that thing or take that time off or go to that next event or even start the next project until you accomplish and complete that one thing that you said you were going to do. And then you can have the reward, even if you can kind of buy it because you earned it. And there's something about a satisfying sensation that empowers over us when we actually follow through with what we said we're going to do. So setting high standards, no compromising, no negotiating them, following through, executing. And what I said on here too, here's what I say. Sometimes when we set deadlines, that pressure can backfire because then it leads us into a space of procrastination. And something where I was running free webinars and workshops on for companies and teams is the 3 steps to stop procrastination. And when I was overcoming my self-sabotage, I got into EFT work. And EFT work is emotional freedom technique. And the emotional freedom technique is really just about, cellular memory releasing. And in that part of when I was really learning about it, I understood that procrastination it's not a laziness. Most high-end achievers actually procrastinate a lot, and you impose a lot of unnecessary stress on the body. So, which creates mental block and all this, and foggy mindedness and all this stuff. So what it came down to, what I had this awareness and understanding, which I was like, was that it's not feeling safe to move forward, feeling overwhelmed and distracted. And each of those 3 things can also, like my tree behind me, be broken down into so many other things. So just knowing yourself and knowing the type of pressure you impose on yourself, what I like to do is I like to take the big things and break them into little small things that I can achieve in my day. And that's what I call my daily methods of operation. What I've learned too is don't get super high achiever mode and overfill your plate where you have no time to take care of yourself, because that's important. That's really important, because that's the stuff that's going to give you the endurance to execute on the things that you need to execute with. And even in the calendar, I have one for my personal and then one for the business. So I've actually separated them into two. I have my DMOs for my personal stuff, and I've got my DMOs for my business. And even in these live streams are part of the DMOs. And from here on out, I'm not gonna rest until I get it done. And bedtime's at 10. So there's got to be discipline in order to have, let me finish this in here too. So one thing in here too that he was asked is like, and I want to be consistent with it. And how I responded is that consistency actually comes down to discipline, accountability, and support. Consistency comes down to discipline, accountability, and support, because there's going to be a lot of days where you just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like doing the live streams. I don't feel like doing my reels. I don't feel like doing 100 lead follow-ups. I don't feel like promoting XYZ. Well, how are things going to get out there to serve people, to help people? How are you going to, I don't feel like going to bed. Well, that's where you have to shut off who you are today, and you have to become somebody else. And this is where you stem and you build it out. What is the end in mind? And then I've already consciously created the schedule. So all I have to do is just execute on it. And that's where I like to take the things and take time. I have 2 days a week where I just strategize. And then the rest of the week, I just execute. Of course, things come up here and there, so you have to be flexible, but you just have to really show up for that. And so I broke it into 3 things. And number 1 is pick and plan. So plan and pick. So choose something that you want to be held accountable for. So choose something. And you guys have a little bit of time before you join the challenge. So you guys get to know, or a little early, what's something you want to be held accountable for. And then we're going to plan ahead. I'm going to teach you a lot of strategizing. I'm going to teach you the game plan. It's literally just a system where you plug and play. I'm really big on systems. I'm really big on taking complicated things, breaking them into daily things where you feel consistent. Something that I do the second Wednesday of every month is we have the Conscious Entrepreneur Meetup here in the building in Miami. And we just set a goal for the month. And then we share it with everybody, and then we meet back up, and then we have our WhatsApp group, and we just, if we need help, we ask for help. When we show up the next month, we have to say, did we achieve it or did we not achieve it? So it's knowing that you got to show up that next month and tell people yeah, I followed through or I didn't follow through. Sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes that's just all you need. I have a month, and we game plan how we're going to achieve it. And then we meet back up a month later, and then we say we hit our target or we didn't hit our target. And then we start to reassess why we didn't achieve it and what are the excuses that came up. And you also, if you have excuses in the process that are also holding you down, allow them to have a voice. So you can write out all the things that are getting in the way of why you're not maybe consistent with your training, or maybe you're not eating right, or maybe you're not going to bed on time, or why you're not showing up for the social media stuff. I just sit down with myself, why am I not being consistent with this? Oh, because there's no discipline in place, and there's no discipline in place because there's no plan in place. So I had to go back and be honest, I don't feel like it. Okay, well, that's not a valid excuse, but I do hear you. I allow you to have a voice on that. But at the end of the day, you're not where you want to be. So that's actually more painful. And something that I realize is no matter what you're doing, there's always going to be pain. These are either going to be the pain of staying the same, or there's going to be the pain of actually changing. So when you focus on what's on the other side of right now, of what you're trying to achieve, you're actually working for your future self. You're working for your higher self. And all you got to do when you plan it out is you just execute. And you can pivot a little bit here and there, but never compromise on the goal. Never compromise on the plan. Give yourself enough time to actually achieve it. And then once you achieve it, you can decide if that is still for you. But remember, knowledge only stems from experience. So if you don't have any experience on something, then if you don't give yourself an opportunity to have an experience in enough time, then you're never going to actually know if that was what you really want. And something inside of one of the books I was reading is like, you guys, no more backup plans, no more plan B, no more compromising your goals, none of that stuff. Like, set a target, set high standards for yourself, and execute on it. Try, like, do it, and then give yourself enough time to follow through. And what I realized working with people for a while, and even myself, is like, more so than anything, people just really, really want and need accountability and support. Just knowing that you have people in your team, knowing that you have a strong lineup, knowing that, Melissa, if you said, hey, these are my goals, I'm going to support your goals, not your emotions. So if you tell me like, hey, I really want to have a very successful digital giveaway, I'm be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's the deadline? What's this and that? And then you're like, oh, well, you know, this and this and this. I'm like, no, like, we're going to hit that target. Not that you'd ever do that, because I know like you are definitely an executor and an A player in the game. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if that was something that happened, or you're like, hey, I want to be really consistent with my training 5 days a week. So I'm like, okay, let me see your accountability calendar. How many stars did you get versus how many X's did you get? Let me see this. Like, I know this is important to you. And because I care about you and I want to see you win, like, I'm going to hold you to the same standard that you held yourself. And I'm not going to sit there and baby your emotions, because emotions are just something that come up and down. So this was created because I started to compromise a lot of my goals, and it was affecting me, and it was affecting my belief system, and it was affecting my confidence, because confidence stems from clarity. So if we're not clear, and in our brain we think we're showing up more than we actually are, because we like to tell stories to ourselves and we like to like let ourselves get off the hook. But if we're actually having daily ways of doing daily audits, which I love my daily audits, and you look at them and a month goes by and 2 months go by and a quarter goes by, and you're like, oh man, I thought I'd be further along. And then you look back and you track and you're like, oh, I only showed up for half of what I thought in my brain I showed up for. No wonder I didn't get the results. So your belief system and your confident thermometer doesn't go down. It actually inspires you. Like, I wonder what would happen if I actually got like 85% stars versus 50% stars, 50% effort versus 85% effort. Guaranteed you're going to see a lot more results than what you thought you were going to have. And this way, it doesn't affect your belief system and your ability to actually achieve what you said you were going to do. So these are where the accountability is really crucial, because it does impact your belief system. And I see a lot of people quit on their goals and their dreams because they think they're just not capable. But it's not that you're not capable. It's just that you think you're doing things that you're actually not doing. You're not executing on it, and you don't have an easy way of tracking your systems. Like, you don't have an easy way of tracking your progress. So if you just take it day by day and you have a very simple way of tracking, like, hey, did you show up for it or did you not show up for it? If you showed up for it, you get a star. If you didn't show up for it, you get an X. Simple as that. How many X's, how many stars is going to equal like your outcome. So it's not that you're any different than anybody else. It's just that your ratio of showing up versus not showing up, compromising on your goals, compromising within the day that you said you're going to do something and you didn't, that's really the only difference between me and you. That's really the only difference between me and somebody else that maybe has what I want and I'm not there, because let me see their accountability calendar versus mine. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it comes down to. And then I think I covered everything I want to cover. Letting you guys know about the accountability group on the 25th through the 29th, free accountability challenge. And then big thing is, if you guys share it with your people, screenshot it, share it with your people, sign in, I'm going to be gifting away $3,000 worth of coaching. So you guys can get that as well. So make sure you screenshot and tag me at Tanya C. Oliver. And that's all I want to share with you guys tonight. I think that was an important topic. Now I get to reward myself with reading, journaling, and going to bed. So I hope you guys have a blessed up night, and definitely sign up for the challenge. I have it already planned out. It's going to be so amazing. You guys are going to get served and blessed up so much. and we're going to achieve some really cool things together. So things are always better together, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So bye. Have a blessed day.